Hello everyone and welcome back to episode 23 of the Experience Kills podcast. I'm your host Ben, and joining with me today I have Cameron, who is just trying to make me go mad.
I do that every week, in some way or form. I try and just tighten the screws a little bit.
Tighten the screws, that's accurate. And also with me is Rob, who is crying with laughter.
I'm literally crying with laughter. Yeah, that was quite an endeavour to get that
Twice I tried to start the show twice, and twice Cameron just trolled me. It was just... couldn't do it. I'm going to do a murder. But we're back here, and we're actually... the reason for all these shenanigans is we're actually broadcasting this live. So if you are watching the edited version of this, do bear in mind, if you want to see the unedited live and in-person experience, we are going to be doing these live now on a Saturday or a Sunday around lunchtime, about this sort of between 11 and 1, I would say, most weeks on YouTube. So you'll be able to keep an eye on us live if you want. We'll put a link out to that on Twitter and stuff, but it's going to be the regular thing as long as this works and we don't have a lot of technical issues. This will be how we do this going forward, so that's quite exciting, isn't it? It's quite cool, guys, don't you think?
That's how we do it.
Make sure you tune in early, because there will be some bits that we edit out. Well, I say we. Ben will edit out of the podcast for its publication on your favourite podcast platforms. But on YouTube, of course, when it's live, that there is no editing. So
I get a feeling on the re-upload, it's just going to be like my side of the screen, just like blank, black, white.
You don't want to give me ideas, Cam. You don't want to give me ideas because you know I'll do it. You know I'll do it. I will. I have that power, and I love abusing it. So I think before we get into games and stuff, we've quite a light news week and stuff, and we have a few games we've been playing. There's not a huge amount. I really want to mention a couple of things we've watched. First of all, Rob, have you watched Falcon Winter Soldier 2 yet?
No.
Okay. Yeah, I have. It was, I think, better, but still iffy. What I did, however, watch was the first 3 episodes, which has all been put online on Amazon, of the new animated series of the amazing comic book Invincible by Robert Kirkman. And this is incredible. Like, they are doing the most faithful adaptation of these comics. It seems like that it's almost like if you've read them like I have all the way through twice. This is fantastic. The best superhero comic ever written, I think. It almost feels unnecessary, but if you are new to the Invincible and you've never read the comics, I couldn't recommend this enough. Like, all I can say is get through that first episode, and by the end of that first episode, you will know if this is for you, because stuff happens in episode 1 which is very, very shocking. And this ain't for kids. Yeah.
You say Robert Kirkman, is he only did Walking Dead?
Yep. So he was right at the same time as he wrote Walking Dead. After I think it was about 6 months to a year into Walking Dead, he started Invincible, and he was writing them both at the same time throughout the history of both the books. They're both finished now. Invincible to me was always the one I preferred the most, but it definitely fell under the radar. Most people obviously knew him for The Walking Dead, for the zombies and stuff, but Invincible is the stronger comic. Because it's so good, because it focuses on this one character from the age of about 17 right through his life, as he grows into becoming a superhero, taking on stuff that happens, and it's like it always stays with him, and it's this long journey all the way through from beginning to middle of end of this one character, and what it means to have the powers he has, and what that means for him and his family and his life and stuff. And it's incredible. Like, it's the most fully fledged, fully rounded superhero comic ever written. And I think so far, from what I've seen on Amazon, while I don't necessarily agree with some of the voice acting choices, I think it's still incredible. Just watch that first episode. It's cool as well, because they're not half hour, they're 45-minute long episodes, which is unusual for animation. But watch that first episode, get to the end of it, and when you see what happens at the end of that, you'll either be in or you'll be out, and it'll be like that's you'll know then. And because that tone, they set the tone, and they don't shy away from what the comic did so well, which I won't spoil, but it's a juxtaposition of a couple of elements. And when you see it in the animated, it was quite shocking, and it was like, holy crap.
Cool. So
that's my recommendation this week, because again, I don't think you're going to see this on Amazon. You're not necessarily you're going to think it's for kids, or you're not going to click on it. It's not going to draw you in unless you know a little bit about it. And I think people should definitely check this out, like, big time. And I know we all like superhero stuff, so that's my recommendation to you guys for next time. Check out Invincible on Amazon. So good.
You are right about enjoying superhero. Well, for one, I'm wearing a Batman shirt. already, but I spent
Wolverine, nice.
and I spent 4 hours the other week watching the Snyder cut of the Justice League.
So did we all, I think. Yeah, we all watched it.
That was, I tell you what, I mean, a lot of people are just like, oh, it's just like another 2 extra hours sort of thing. I was like, no, it's really not just another 2 hours. Okay, it is recut, it's been reshot. It is so good. It's so much better than the original release. To be honest, it can get worse than the original release.
No.
Except probably what Ben would say, Batman vs Superman.
No, actually, so in preparation for the Snyder Cut, I went and watched the ultimate cut of Batman vs Superman.
Oh, nice.
And that is a much better film as well,
again,
without a doubt. The context it gives for Luthor and his machinations, all of a sudden it's not just he's a side character, but he's a very core, important character to everything, which was brilliant. And yeah, the Snyder Cut was fantastic. I think it huge improvement. It could probably still do with losing an hour in the first act or two, but like, you know, even then, it's not so much what they've added, but what they've removed as well, and it now is in keeping. And while you could argue that the Snyderverse is a myopic, miserable, downbeat experience, it now at least follows all the way from Man of Steel through, and actually now they feel like a cohesively myopic, downbeat experience rather than a very uncohesive ending.
Joss Whedon really came in and like tried to make Avengers out of the Justice League.
Well, that's what they wanted him to do. That's what they asked him to do. Yeah. So he did it,
and it didn't really work. It was too colourful. It was too kind of, I don't want to say family friendly, but it was too jokey and too kind of, you know. This is new verse. You know, you can see like Wonder Woman like in like the bank scenes of that. When she actually like hits people and they slam into the walls, it's a whole lot more like gore as well, where people actually like, breaking bones and stuff, which isn't like the main takeaway from it, but you know, it shows like the gritty reality of what's happening, you know, as well.
For me, the biggest issue is you then watch Aquaman and Wonder Woman, and they feel like entirely different characters to what we get in Justice League and Batman vs Superman, and it's like, you needed to stick to this. This is what you established, and instead they've tried so hard to be Marvel 2.0 that they've lost what made them unique. And you might not have liked what made them unique, but at least it had a vision, it had a style, and then they just
there were a couple of in-universe inaccuracies, you know, like, you know, when they in the Justice League film, anyone who wants to speak to another person properly, obviously they have to have this like air bubble around them, you know. Whereas in Aquaman, everyone's just like, sup?
Yes, you're right. You know? And the bit when they talk into each other and they don't do that, it's like they sound like fish, don't they? You know, they're like, yeah, it's really weird. But like, yeah, you're right. That stood out.
I can only imagine Dory, like from Finding Nemo, just around the corner, just like, Aquaman's like, sup? But yeah, I think, and little bits like that were really awesome.
The new footage and the reshoots were amazing. I think there's a statistic somewhere. Snyder Cut only shared about half an hour's footage with what we got from Whedon.
It's about right,
yeah.
One I saw is that 10% of the running time is slow motion.
Yes, 10% of it is slow motion, which I find hilarious in a 4-hour film.
That's credible. But it's also like fair play because he does it really well. Like, and we don't want to spend too much more time on this, but it is gaming related, isn't it? It's the same thing. You know, if you're a gamer, you're probably checking this stuff out. But like, man, what he does for the Flash and Cyborg in that cut, like they become real characters. They become people you care about. That's incredible.
Flash and his powers obviously are more in depth and you know, explained quite a bit more. But what Snyder managed to do for Ray Fisher was incredible as Cyborg. You know, he was very much sidelined, no explanation about how he came to be, really, except from like a 2-minute video clip you get in Batman v Superman at the end there. But of course, there's a lot of kind of, I don't want to say controversy, but you know, Ray Fisher certainly had his statements against the Whedon cut and his directing style, and Whedon himself. And Zack came back and did it all and blew my mind. You know, we see him as an actual, well, I want to say human being, but he's a cyborg, so
I know what you mean. A real character.
A real character. Really.
There's lots of allegations as to why Whedon cut so much of Ray Fisher's stuff, centered around a very, unfortunately, common issue that he has been accused of, because Ray Fisher is a person of color, so he was cut brutally in that movie.
We had a bit of that with kind of Finn from Star Wars, didn't we? We had that similar sort of accusation. Not I think it's just Whedon, obviously, but that sort of thing happened, didn't it? Where he got kind of sidelined quite a bit, which is a shame to hear.
I mean, my final anecdote that I loved that I heard from Snyder was that the film also almost didn't happen again when they told him he couldn't have Jon Stewart Green Lantern at the end of it, and he nearly then vetoed the whole thing. But he said something like, I couldn't do that to the fans over such a small thing. But we got more Martian Manhunter, which is this amazing retcon, which makes that character, the general character from all the way back from Man of Steel, the Martian Manhunter throughout, and you're like, that makes you see it all so differently, which is great.
I don't think that is a retcon. I think that was completely intended the whole way through.
I agree, but it plays like a retcon because the thread was never concluded. So it's now you look at it and you're like,
it reaches its natural end rather than anything else.
It's really cool.
That's a phenomenal moment.
Do you think that's like kind of like at the end of a certain Avengers event sort of thing, where certain people are revealed as different people? I don't want to say in case people have spoilers for those sort of characters or not, but when people change into different people, if you're following me.
I have no idea what you're talking about right now.
Did you mean Skrulls?
Yes, I did, but I didn't want to reveal any characters in specific,
Yeah.
So do you think it's kind of intended as that sort of reveal?
Like from the beginning? Yeah, I think so. I think it was very much like Rob said, he was always that going to be Martian Manhunter, and then for whatever reason they dropped that thread entirely, and it was like there is that weird scene with him in the Snyder cut with Lois, which feels very much like sometimes he just really wants to keep Lois in that movie, even though she kind of doesn't do anything or really have much bearing on any of it. But except of course she has huge relevance to turning Superman away from the dark side. So that's kind of. That's pretty cool, but and obviously will be the catalyst to him going evil, potentially.
I like that double meaning of turning him away from the dark side there.
See what I did? Intentional. Should we move on to games? Sorry, no, you got a final bit. Go on. And there's a lot to talk about. We could do a whole podcast on this, I reckon.
We probably could, to be fair.
That's next week sorted.
I think one of my favourite and a couple of my friends, their standout moments when you see Darkseid take out a poor Atlantean with his Omega beams in like the flash forward. The Omega beams spell die.
Oh, I didn't see that. That's crazy.
I need to go back now. I need to spend 4 hours figuring that out.
They spell it. It's literally a split-second thing, but it's like, and it spells die. Which is just brilliant.
My last kind of note on this is that during like the big kind of flashback scene to what happened in the past with all the Atlanteans and gods all kind of working together, they actually superimposed David Lewis's face onto Ares again.
Yeah, they kept Ares consistent.
David, he's one of my favorite actors actually. Old school British actor, and like he played. Well, as I say, he played that kind of wartime general in Wonder Woman really well. He's always been Professor Lupin to me in the Harry Potter series. And then just seeing his face on this Jack's body was really weird.
So my final bit that I wanted to just mention, which I thought was really well done, is that when you get that final dream sequence at the end, which has the Joker in it, which people have been talking about a lot, I love the fact that those dream sequences change throughout based on who he knows and meets. So it's kind of like you'll notice that there's no other ones early on with Cyborg in it because he hadn't met Cyborg at the point of those dreams. So that tells you that they are possibly prophetic, but actually more like representations of his fears, which I actually think is really nicely done. Yeah,
they're not dream sequences; they're flash forwards.
Yes, but they are and they aren't. I think that's very much open to debate. You're saying they're flash forwards, yes, but I think what it is he's dreaming based on his own fears and conceptions, because they are dreams, but they are. You could take them both ways, but I think at the end, my takeaway is with who the characters are represented in those, it's only based on the ones he's met throughout the film. For example, he's never met dreaming. Mara. I believe he does, because it's when Aquaman goes back into the water, he would have seen Aquaman with Mera. So, yes, he does. So, I think it's a case of...
never shown.
I'm pretty sure
that he meets Mera. Never. No. Because the only time you see Amber Heard is underwater. That is the only time she's in that movie.
No, she's not. She comes out a couple of times. She comes out of the water a couple of times in the movie. Anyway, we should move on. Let's talk about games.
You know I'm going to have to rewatch the entire film now.
That's my afternoon sorted.
Yeah, basically that is going to be my afternoon because I'm not 100% sure you're correct there.
I think I don't think they are as obviously clear cut as flash forwards. I really don't.
I just like proving you wrong. So Yeah, I'm gonna watch it as well.
Well, feel free if you watch it in the next week. You can correct me on next week's podcast. I have no problem with that. Though you'll have to show me. You'll have to show me that the cut together scenes to actually prove your point. Obviously, I'm not just going to take your word for it, but that's fine. Right, let's move on to. Let's move on to talking about video games, because that is ostensibly why we are here today. So let's get straight into the news. So first of all, kind of like I didn't realize this was happening, but they happened, which was the Baftas for video games happened this week. And there's a whole bunch of categories, and the games you'd expect. We've seen the same games we saw at the Video Game Awards were kind of the ones that were being highlighted. But the big takeaway here is that Hades won a big scoop of 5 awards, which is our Game of the Year last year, and I think very deserving for Hades. Obviously, The Last of Us Part 2 obviously picked up quite a few awards as well. But yeah. I always like looking at the recognition. I don't know if there's any you wanted to draw attention to specifically, guys, but we can talk about the winners in each category. I can do a rundown if you like. Would we appreciate that if I did that for you? Does anybody want me to do that? Yeah, should I do that?
Go on.
Animation. Animation. The winner was Last of Us Part 2. Artistic achievement was Hades. Audio achievement was Ghost of Tsushima. Best game was Hades, which is, bear in mind the way the BAFTAs work, so it's like a collection of experts and journalists and stuff, so it's not an open vote, so they've chosen Hades to win that. British game went to Sackboy: A Big Adventure, which to me was a weird one, because this was a spin-off game from Little Big Planet, not even made by Media Molecule, and yet that won the best British game. And I'm like, nobody's even talking about that game. It was up against Dreams by Media Molecule. It was up against F1 2020, my obvious pick, because I love Cody's. Fall Guys, The Last Campfire, and Roki. And it's like some really cool indie games here, and yet the one that's the spin-off that nobody gives a crap about, third person platformer, wins it. I don't understand that one. That's a really strange one to me. Best debut game.
I would have anticipated Fall Guys taking that because of its flash of popularity.
It's not a great game, though, is it? Have you
you have to bear in mind.
I never said it was great. I said flash of popularity.
I say it's not about like I said, it's not about popularity. It's about
experts pick this,
expert opinions and stuff. Yeah.
Which is an odd one. Debut game went to Carrion, which I think is very, very legit. That's a really cool, interesting little game. Evolving game, which I think means live service game, right? Yeah. So continually being patched, Destiny, Dreams, Fall Guys, Fortnite, No Man's Sky, and the winner was Sea of Thieves, probably because it's British. That's all come out of the UK. Yeah,
I would have picked, unsurprisingly, I'd have picked Destiny or No Man's Sky over Sea of Thieves.
Yeah.
Fortnite should not be on that list.
Fortnite should be on that list if it's an evolving game situation, even if you don't like it. I think Fortnite's always changing and always.
It's not on my personal list.
Family, Sackboy again, A Big Adventure. Game Beyond Entertainment. I think this is like games that push, social cause and stuff like that. Was Animal Crossing, New Horizons. Game design, Hades. Multiplayer, Animal Crossing, which is weird. Right, so you go multiplayer, Animal Crossing, Deep Rock Galactic, Fall Guys, Ghost of Tsushima, Sackboy, Big Adventure, and Valorant. Animal Crossing's multiplayer is freaking terrible. It's nice that it's in there, but actually from a mechanics game sort of system basis, it's such a pain in the arse to actually make it work. It's unbelievably it's the opposite of user friendly. It's incredibly obfuscated. You have to jump through so many hoops. So to see that win multiplayer, it's like, I mean, it's got it, but does that mean it should win it? Like that's a strange one to me.
And especially I played a lot of Valorant when that first came out. That was really fun and really enjoyable. But yeah, comparing it to, Fall Guys, a huge multiplayer game, and again, Russia popularity and everything, but really?
The other one that's weird on that list is Ghost of Tsushima. I mean, it's really cool that they brought in that multiplayer stuff after release, the class-based stuff, but at the same time, you don't think multiplayer when you think Ghost of Tsushima, but hey, sure, okay. Music, Marvel's Spider-Man Miles Morales. I've not played that, but I have played Ghost of Tsushima. I have played Hades. I have played Last of Us Part 2. They've all got incredible soundtracks, incredible music.
I enjoyed the quite nice music from Ori and the Will of the Wisps. That's also on the list there. That was nice little music.
I'm honestly surprised Sackboy: A Big Adventure didn't take that one, because it's randomly inserted into a category that makes little logical sense. So surely it should have taken it.
I don't understand that Spider-Man game winning that. I mean, like I said, I've not played it, but Hades Darren Korb's music is next level. Like, honestly, so good. They did, however, win Best Narrative in a year when they're up against things like Kentucky Route Zero, Ghost of Tsushima, Cyberpunk, Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Weirdly, Last of Us Part 2 isn't.
I was just going to point that out. Considering the debate we had over the story quality of Last of Us Part 2, not to be represented in the narrative category,
really
that's
weird.
Interesting.
That's really weird. And then you look at Hades, and it's great, but at the same time, you don't really think of it for its story. Its story is really cool, how it works within a roguelike sort of framework. However, I wouldn't think of it. I don't think of Hades and think story. I think of it character, I suppose, but I don't think story and narrative.
I do.
And just a throwback to the previous category for the music when it comes to Hades. Did you guys catch the, was it like Doomified music for Hades?
Yeah, I tweeted it out and actually got Darren Korb liking the tweet for me, which was an awesome moment.
I think you squeed with happiness.
I did, and it is amazing, by the way. If you go back, look through the Twitter timeline, if I remember, or one of the guys reminds me, I'll put it in the show notes to check out. But yeah, this guy did this like audio engine that sort of doomified the soundtrack he did it for Final Fantasy as well, and the Hades one is just fucking baller. Like, it's so cool. It's original property, which is a very strange sounding category, but I guess it means new IP.
I think it means new IP,
yeah. Carrion, Fall Guys, Ghost of Tsushima, Hades. Winner was Kentucky Route Zero. By the way, guys, if you've not played Kentucky Route Zero, check out Kentucky Route Zero. Rob would hate it. It's so not his game, but it's an incredible game. It's an incredible
What
game.
is it?
It's narrative-driven, 2D pixel art, exploration of, like, backwater America, but also, like, supernatural elements and...
What's the secret blend of herbs and spices?
what I described. There you go. Performer in a leading role was won by Laura Bailey as Abby in The Last of Us Part 2, which is, I think, perfectly fair and justifiable. That's that. But so yeah, Logan Cunningham then won it in the supporting role, which is this thing with because it's the Baftas. They've got an interesting sort of split here, leading and supporting roles. You know, for the performance side of gaming. So it's like you don't normally see that in Game Awards. So I think the fact that they've looked at like who were the leads and then who were like more ancillary here in their performances. And in that other leading role, you've got people like Ellie, you know, female. That's weird. Woman who played female V, but not male V, got nominated, which is just okay.
So is it meant to be female V rather than
female V?
I thought it was just the fifth female.
No, I can't believe it. You don't even know. No, you don't even know the name of the character in Cyberpunk 2077, guys. I'm very upset. I'm going to have to teach you much more about Cyberpunk.
Please no.
Next week we'll do 2 weeks time we'll do a whole episode on Cyberpunk. I'll catch you up. Don't worry, it'll be fine.
I'm ill.
Cloud Strife, Jin Sakai from Ghost of Tsushima. I think Datsui Tsuji's performance as Jin Sakai in Ghost of Tsushima actually is brilliantly understated, and he really nails the feeling of like samurai and you know the kind of emotional conflict he goes through when he has to become a less honourable and all of that, which is just fantastic. I haven't played Miles Morales, but then in supporting role we also got weirdly like Judy Alvarez's character in Cyberpunk. She's fine. Tommy in The Last of Us Part 2, obviously. Logan Cunningham, who should have won it for most roles performed. As Hades, Achilles, Poseidon, Astrius, Charon, and the Storyteller. He won it for all of those, which is fair.
For Charon, he basically actually goes...
He does it really well, though.
Here's my question. How did he win the role, a performer in a supporting role, even though he's voicing the main character in there as well, and yet
That's a really good question. I'm not sure, because look at that. You got Abby and Ellie from Last of Us Part 2 in the lead, and then you've got Joel, Dinah, and Tommy as supporting from part 2 of Last of Us. So in total, they had 5 nominations across 2 categories, all kind of the same category. And then Logan Cunningham is Hades and Achilles, and you know he's all the main characters, and yet he's only supporting. I don't really get it either, but not nominated because I don't believe he did Zagreus, did he? So I guess that's the issue. Zagreus is the lead.
Oh, of course.
Oh,
Zagreus is the lead character.
how did I not know that? Oh, dear.
So I believe that was. I want to say Zagreus was Darren Korb. The guy who did the music. I want to say he did it, but I might be wrong. But no, it could be that because he didn't do Zagreus. But anyway, moving on. 2 more categories. There's technical achievement went to Dreams, which is fair. That game is kind of a meta game about making games within a game, which is quite impressive how they pulled that off. And then EE Game of the Year, the only category voted for by people and by the public, went to, unsurprisingly, Last of Us Part 2. I can't say that's a shock.
That being said, though, I mean, you've got like a huge fan base that follow Call of Duty Warzone. I'm not saying obviously that I would have voted for The Last of Us anyway.
I'm not sure Warzone deserves to even be on that list, considering it's this game that only exists because of a game from the year before. Like, I don't know. That's weird.
I just look at it and I just go like, yeah, why is it on the list? But I can see a huge amount of people probably playing Call of Duty more than The Last of Us Part 2, you know? So the fact that Last of Us Part 2 managed to snag that, brilliant, well done.
Indeed. It's kind of connected, the next news story, because we mentioned Ghost of Tsushima. I was talking about that. And it is what is perhaps the most unnecessary video game adaptation news. We've just found out that the director of John Wick, Chad Stahelski, and by the way, John Wick is an amazingly directed movie, so that's great, but they're making a Ghost of Tsushima movie. This is a game that exists as an homage to Japanese samurai movies, predominantly the Kurosawa ones. So the fact that we're getting a movie of the game that's based on movies is the most sort of reductive, pointless thing I've heard of in a while. Like,
do you know what's going to be amazing? If the movie gets a tie-in game.
Ghost of Tsushima, the game, the movie, the game.
So you have a game based on a movie of a game based on a movie.
I just don't...
I'm gonna get the novelization of the game of the movie. The game of the movie.
I'm sure if Kurosawa was alive today, he'd be literally doing he'd just be flipping out. It'd be like spinning. He's probably spinning in his grave. It's just such a weird thing. I get it. Like, Sony is about multimedia. They want to try and develop properties that are successful and find new IP to create movies out of. But at the same time, why? Just why?
I mean, in terms of like samurai movies, I mean, I haven't watched, to my shame, I haven't watched many of like the classic samurai movies. I mean, probably the most recent ones I've watched was The Last Samurai with Tom Cruise, which
great movie, but it's not really a samurai movie, but it's a good movie. But yeah,
it's got samurai in the title.
Yeah, but there are samurai in it, but it's not a samurai movie in the Kurosawa vein. No. It's a very Western movie.
And to tie it in with John Wick, was 47 Ronin.
That's incredibly terrible. That is incredibly terrible.
Awful film. Absolutely
one
terrible.
of the worst films Keanu Reeves has ever been in, and he's been in some bad films.
I quite enjoyed it.
Of course you did.
I'm just going to stop talking now.
I can't believe that. I mean, Rob's seen 5 films. One of them was 47 Ronin, and it's his favourite. I mean, that sounds about right.
What point was that said? Mr. Hyperbole in the corner. At what point was that said?
It goes like this, in reverse order. In third place, Star Wars. Second place, Marvel movies.
The
First place, 47 Ronin.
Wars. The only Star Wars film, then. Yeah?
I'm sorry, I put the franchises together. You can't think of them as separate movies.
Yeah.
You don't get to cheat that way.
And you have to get down to brass tacks, Ben. Obviously, his favourite Star Wars film is going to be The Phantom Menace.
Well, it's better than Revenge of the Sith and Attack of the Clones, so...
I think my favourite one is probably A New Hope.
Oh, old school.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
Mine's Empire, just FYI.
I've got a very soft spot for Return. I love me some Return. I love me those Ewoks.
My God, actual diversity between the three of us.
Yeah, see, covered all the bases there on that one. But I think they're all the right answer, aren't they? That's how that works.
Basically, they're not 1, 2, or 3, or 7, 8, and 9. We're fine.
Yeah, there's kind of a hatred of the prequels and sequels.
So yeah, Ghost of Tsushima movie, guys.
I think it could be good. Chad Stahelski's great director. Some great action sequences in all 3 John Wick films. There. What can he do with a samurai sword? Let's see.
I'm envisioning brutality is what he's can do with the samurai sword. So let's find out.
Yeah, so we get well choreographed, extreme violence. And he's going to obviously, as his Ghost of Tsushima, it would be Jin's story. The idea, it is a cool story, though. The concept of a samurai having to sort of become a bit John Wicky, a bit lacking in honor, stealth kills, and not just like facing his enemies front on, just to help save the island and stuff and save his people. So I think there is stuff in there that could make a cool movie. It's just sort of like, but why? I mean, the question for me is, will there be a black and white cut that's like in reference to the black and white version of the game, which is in reference to the black and white version of the Kurosawa movies? You know, it's like, what are we, how far down the rabbit hole do we go?
And will the inevitable tie-in game have that same black and white option? No.
Which won't be called Kurosawa mode, it will be called video game mode, which will then say in the box in brackets, based on Kurosawa mode. Based, and then under that, based on Kurosawa films.
The thing is, though, you have to complete the film once to unlock black and white mode.
Yeah, once, I like that. Yeah, no, that's cool though. The game lets you do it straight from the beginning. Actually, you don't have to unlock it. It's just you can play it all in black and white if you want. Yeah, it's kind of cool. And it's not just like whatever mode. They've put a lot of work into it. It's a nice mode. Right, let's move on to the next story. And I'm just going to throw that out there and ask you, how mad does this make you? Are you worried or are you not worried? So Microsoft is reportedly in talks to buy Discord for about $10 billion. We are using Discord right now to do this podcast. Are we very concerned about this? Are we not bothered? I mean, look what they did to Skype. But
mostly, I'm just looking forward to the possibility of getting a
Rob's got a visitor.
Xbox app for Discord, because one does not exist.
That'd be cool.
Yeah. That's mostly what I'm wanting, to be honest.
So what is that? Do you mean is that like a as a cross-platform, channel?
Just to be able to use Discord on my Xbox. That would be what I would like.
But the question is why? Why? Because you've already got party chat on your Xbox.
I have multiple friends and friend groups.
That's fair.
Who game on PC, so they end up talking on Discord more.
Yeah, same.
So it's something that I have to give up game audio to be able to talk to them and play video games at the same time, because I have to do it at my desk. And my monitors don't have speakers, so that's something I have to do every time I want to spend the evening talking to them and grinding out strikes on Destiny or whatever.
I wonder. I suspect you wouldn't get Discord on an Xbox, but you'd get Discord integration inside of the party chat sort of system. I don't see it become. It's not one of those things I could see them making as a separate app, but I could see them plugging the infrastructure into the existing.
Then I'm going to end up with the same problem.
No, because you'd be able to. No, because you'd be able to then communicate cross-platform. Is what you're talking about, isn't it?
Well, I think you can already communicate cross-platform. You can. I've been playing World War Z with a friend of mine who's got it on PC, and I've downloaded it on PlayStation now. And we still just have our microphones plugged in, but we have to talk in game. Which, let's be honest, the quality of that is usually pretty piss poor compared to having our own personal, either Discord channel or party on the PlayStation, for example.
What was it? We were playing, me and you, Rob, with another friend of ours. We tried to play Destiny 2, and we used the in-game comms inside of Destiny 2 on PC to do it, and it was just unreal how bad it was. So we ended up doing the Steam have got a knockoff kind of sort of voice communicator like Discord, and that worked really well. So
when we did that, why didn't we just go on Discord?
I don't know, but we had it in Steam, so we just did it. But yeah, Discord, it's like the games don't even bother on PC because they know that there's these other systems. Yeah, so I don't see this as like, it's not as bad as Google buying something, because when Google buys it, you can kind of guarantee that the thing's getting closed within about a year. But like Microsoft aren't quite that bad. But they can be. I mean, they definitely screwed up Skype. Skype has definitely gone down the toilet since purchase and stuff. And I'm not sure. I mean, it's a lot of money. You could see why Discord would be tempted to sell up and not be independent anymore and stuff. But I don't know.
Well, it's one of those things. I mean, I can see it. I can see Microsoft starting to put a price label on a free service. That's my issue. Whether they get incorporated into like your Xbox Live account, your gold account, and you get access to Discord, or you're going to have to pay like £3 a month separately just to be able to use it.
Then something else free will spring up in its stead.
But you can already pay for Discord.
10 billion wasted.
You can pay for Discord. It's called Discord Nitro. There is a paid option, isn't there?
Mm-hmm. There is, but
I'm not like server boosting and shit.
I don't think it's necessary. I don't think they put. I mean, you don't pay for Skype, so I don't think they'd slap like a tag on it, a price tag on it. I think they're looking at the fact that, you know, post COVID, everything is virtual. These services have exploded in their use and popularity, and they're looking to make acquisitions to strengthen their offerings. You know, this is the tech that they could plug into Teams, they could plug it into, you know, Xbox. They could kind of make it a more unified comm system throughout their entire network, and I think it makes a lot of sense from an acquisition point of view like that. I think to them, like, you know, that they're looking at the tech and the underlying thing. And Rob has an incredibly cute cat, being incredibly cute with him right now if you're watching this on video. But in related news then, so I think this is probably kind of related. So Xbox Live is kind of being rebranded. It's kind of being rebranded as the Xbox Network. They're dropping. It's not completely being dropped. There's a statement. There's been an update. They're not getting rid of Xbox Live, but like the branding and the messaging that you get within the ecosystem is going to shift and change a little bit to try and simplify the offerings. And I think, you know, we've been talking about this for a while now on this podcast. Game Pass, Xbox Live Gold, what the future for that holds, you know. And I think they're doing what we've kind of talked about, which is pushing the Xbox Live branding and Gold into the background a little bit, making Game Pass the more obvious offering, Ultimate specifically, and that's going to be sort of where their focus and emphasis is going to go as the months and the rest of the year progresses. And I think that makes total sense. I mean, that, you know, from an offering and a kind of, you know, cost point of view, and the amount of money they can make out of Ultimate at $10.99 a month, I think that's definitely what they want to do. So yeah, what did you guys think about this bit of news?
It's interesting. It makes me wonder that this is step 2 in like a 10-step process. Yeah, there is an end result that we're going to get here. They're just slow rolling it out to us. Why? I don't know, but that's what they're going to do.
Well, I mean, why? I suspect it's got something to do with when they announced those price increases, the backlash was insane, even considering how few people, you know, comparative to Game Pass now and Ultimate subscriptions, use it. The perception was incredibly negative. So I think that's why we're seeing a very slow rollout, that they're going to quietly over the rest of the year, you know, rebrand, change the offering, and sort of come around again. It's not like they're not going to do that pricing thing. That's going to happen. They're just working out a better way of implementing it. Yeah, that's the way I look at this. Yeah. Got anything to add, Cam?
As a man from the PlayStation side of the universe, it's not too much of a major impact for me. You know, I mean, yeah, I do use, you know, Game Pass on the PC because that's what I have right now, which is, to be honest, my 3rd month is almost up, so I'll be dropping it yet again because I got that for 3 months for like free, I think it was. And I have been using it whilst I've been working from home between customers.
I think and I have been using it while looking for work from home.
Yeah. So yeah, it's not going to be like a huge impact for me, and like if it's basically just like a name change to incorporate everything that it does, it's not too bad, really, is it?
I think it's the sign of where things are going. You know, it's where we're headed. So let's move on to the I think pretty much every week the delay part of the news. So games delayed.
Delays.
We do like really bummer for me, this one. I'm really looking forward to trying out. It's so Amplitude Studios take on the Civ style of game. It's called Humankind. It was coming out, I believe, in May. It's been pushed back into August. They're doing more polish. They're doing more, you know, getting it, like, you know, fixed up, getting it all sorted, ready for release, making it as perfect as possible. It looks like they're taking that 4X Civ style game in some really fascinating directions. The idea of creating legacy, and it's not like, oh, you're the Egyptians and you have Egyptian stuff. It's more like you build your own whole civilization, your whole kind of yeah, it's difficult not to use the word civilization when you talk about this game, even though it's not civilization. But I'm really excited about playing this game. I know I'm going to sink dozens of hours into it, if not more, hundreds of hours potentially, and I've already got it pre-ordered. But it's been delayed into August 17. But I can't wait to try it out. Humankind.
That delay does disappoint me. That sounds quite interesting. The next delay does not faze me at all.
No, I know, and I knew it wouldn't because I knew you've been talking about it. But yeah, Back for Blood has also been delayed, and I think both of these delays have got a lot to do with COVID and the tail it has and the effect it has on development and polish and stuff like that. But that's been delayed by again about 4 months or so, so that's going back into late summer. And I think they've stated once again that Turtle Rock are just working hard to make it the best it can be, and they just need a bit more time, polish and get it ready and stuff. And I can't wait to play that. It couldn't get a more different game to like Humankind, which is all about 4X, thinking and like this is all going to be shooting and zombies and monsters and kill, and I can't wait to play that co-op. Even if Rob gives no craps, so it's not his favorite shooter, Call of Duty. So what can you do?
The thing is that when it comes to
you know what my favorite shooter is, Ben.
I know. And now I'm just trolling you and setting up my segue. But that's fine.
I was just going to say, it's sad to see that, regardless of what the game is, no one to see it kind of push back because, it's going to be suck for all the fans that do want it to come out. It was last week, I think it was, Gotham Knights got pushed back a bit, and I was quite excited for that.
Not a bit. That's gone all the way back. That's 2022 now. Yeah.
Yeah. And, it's a time in the future where hopefully by then I might even have a PS5.
I think we all need to start saving for 2022 because it's going to be an expensive year with video games.
Well, every game's going to come out like that was meant to come out this year in 2022, isn't it? That's what we're looking at.
2 years of game in 1 year.
Could be. It really could be. So, talking about games that I do think we will get this year because they can't miss these releases because it's so important to them. Activision, we've got kind of confirmation that this year's Call of Duty is going to be a World War II game again. So they're going to go back to WW2. We don't know much more about it than that at this time. There's been some leaks, but it almost always happens. And this one's being developed by Sledgehammer. So I forget. There's like 3 of them making Call of Duty games now. So the questions right now is, will this plug into Warzone? Will there be some kind of World War II update to Warzone in some way? I'm not sure how that would work, but you never know.
With technological mumbo-jumbo.
Yeah, time travel, timey-wimey Call of Duty stuff. I don't really know. But going back to World War II, Call of Duty WW2, which was the last one they did in World War II, it was pretty damn good. It had a really good single player, actually. Really good story. And the multiplayer was fine. Not as good as Modern Warfare's, and I haven't played the new Black Ops because I just don't care. But I'll keep an eye on this. I think that the rumour is that it's got like this sort of subtitle of Vanguard, but that's one of those words that doesn't really mean anything, so it may be kept, may not
be. Could be subject to change as well. That sort of name. I always enjoyed the Call of Duty games in World War II more than I have done, especially in the future. It was like you've got games like Titanfall and stuff like that, which excel at like the wall running and the backflips and stuff like that while you're killing and stuff like that, but then they kind of replicated it in Infinite War, I think it was when it first came out, and with jetpacks and stuff. And I was like, I'm done with that. I don't need that in my life from a Call of Duty game. I don't enjoy it that much. Modern Warfare, it worked out quite nicely, and it was nice and nitty gritty. But going back to World War II, it depends on how they kind of bring the game. For me, in a single-player standpoint, because I like doing single-player missions. I've always felt like the Battlefield games have a level of respect when it came to like the World War games. Mm-hmm. They weren't all America gung ho sort of thing. When they did World War, I think it was World War One, when the first like mission is like, people who got shot down like in the war sort of thing, and then you switch character and it had like the people's like birth and death date sort of thing of like actual soldiers who are active who passed in the battle at that time. I felt like they just got a whole lot more respect for the people who passed and died and like the scenarios in those times, where I always felt Call of Duty was just like crash bang wallop.
Well, they want to make Saving Private Ryan every time, don't they? That's kind of the vibe you get from Call of Duty. Yeah, big action, big set pieces. The last Battlefield 5, the one that was back in World War II, the way it did those sort of mini campaigns for like 4 or 5 campaigns. I think they were all different sort of parts of the conflict, all at different points of the conflict with different characters. I thought that was really cool. I thought that was like that variety it brought. Obviously, it didn't then bring you that big sort of cinematic, cohesive single story. And the last one, the Call of Duty that did World War II, WW2 one, I think that was cool. I like that story. I thought that what they did with the idea that one of the squad mates was Jewish and get captured by the Nazis, and it kind of becomes this mission of them breaking them out from being sent to like a camp and stuff, and all of that. And I thought that was
an actual fun story. I've never played that story.
That one's good. It's really good, and they actually do a good job of like they do the classic, oh, my sergeant's a dick, but actually he's just been through hell, and you kind of end up respecting him at the end, and he kind of heroically does a thing, and you're like, oh, that's all right. But it's like it's straight up like it feels very much like knockoff Band of Brothers at times, but in a good way. They try. So, but the question is like, what's left? Like, what's left to say and to tell in these World War II settings? I'm really kind of curious as to what they can come up with.
It's the one thing I'd like a little bit more exploration from in World War II games is they did it in World at War on PS3, which was like the Japanese side, I feel like, especially when I was in school learning about World War II, it was all about the Eastern Front, Germany into France and everything like that. But I heard nothing about like Japan except from 2 big bombs and Pearl Harbor. And I didn't get any. I had to go out and research myself because I was more interested in learning about Iwo Jima, and stuff like that. Which I think that would be great to have a little bit more explanation and exploration in a World War II game.
Yeah, maybe they'll do. Yeah. Maybe they'll go out that way instead of the European front, the Japanese front. Yeah, that might be it. Maybe that's the thinking. That would make a lot of sense. Yeah, because the horrors out there. I mean, if you've not seen the Pacific, which was the follow up to Band of Brothers, it's a very different war, and it's like the brutality of some of the conflicts that happened out in that. Not just because of the tech and the people, but because of the environment. And the sort of stresses that put on the soldiers. It was very, very different. But yeah, I don't feel the need to play another game with the Battle of the Bulge, play another game, with the Normandy landings. So like, there's not, like you said, it's not as well trod, is it? So yeah, that might be what they do. That would be really interesting. So in another recurring segment that I have to bring in every time Cameron's here because he's such a fan, he has to do it every time. He says to me, Ben, there's been some Cyberpunk news. If you don't put this in the podcast, I'll quit. So in what isn't really shocking news, the Cyberpunk 2077 lean gameplay designer has left CD Projekt Red.
And is unlikely to gain further employment in video games, considering this.
Well, that is really harsh, Rob. Jesus Christ.
I mean, considering, come on.
I mean, have you played it, Rob? Have you played it?
Is it a complete game yet?
Have you played it yet, Rob?
Is it a finished game yet?
Have you played it yet, Rob?
Is it a finished game yet?
So who wants to try and say his name? Shall I try? Andreev Zawatsky? Ooh, no, I'm sure I got that wrong. But anyway, he started in 2016 as a junior designer, and then quickly rose to prominence, which you could take either way, I suppose. As like, he became the lead gameplay designer in like a few years. But okay, I think there was quite a lot of people leaving the company during Cyberpunk times. But yeah, nearly 8 years he was there, and he's now moved on. And yeah, what does that mean? I mean, you can't be surprised to see talent hemorrhaging out of CD Projekt Red at this time. We're still waiting on this big patch that was meant to be. They've not said anything else. That end of March is what they've said, and we've got days left in this month. So yeah, another delay, missing another date, hurting the expectations once more of the game, and it just seems like maybe they should just do what they did with Anthem. Just draw a line under it and call it DOA. Like, this game still can't be bought digitally on a PlayStation 4 or 5. It's still not on their store. And that should tell you everything. That means Sony is still not happy with where it's at to actually put it on that storefront. And that's massive. That's just massive. So, yeah, I don't really know what else there is to say about this. We'll keep you updated, and I'm going to keep an eye on this. And, but it's just like, I don't know what they could do at this point. I don't know.
I don't know how they're going to fix this. So I don't know whether it's worth them just not releasing any updates until it's one big, massive kahuna of an update that fixes everything.
Problem with that is you're likely to break a lot of stuff, aren't you? Because the bigger the update, the more risk there is to cause issues. So
I'm talking size of update is basically the game file. that they scoop a game file out and they replace the game file. It's what Destiny did with Beyond Light. They scooped out your installation and they replaced it with the new version. I think that might be what they would have to go down the route of.
Got to do something. But that brings us to the end of the news. Now we're moving into a topic now, guys, which Cameron has picked because it's his birthday tomorrow. And Cameron is he's turning into an old man like me. He's hitting his 30s, and it's like, well, it's only down here from here, mate. You're just going to keep going downhill. You get sicker every year. Everything hurts just a little bit more. You're always more tired, and you just become miserable like me. So enjoy that.
It's like I said to you guys on our WhatsApp group. You know, I've been steadily going downhill since my 20s. Anyway, you know, I took a nap yesterday. I took a nap. I don't nap. What is this beast I have become?
The napping one. Napping beast. I think, look, dude, you've got a kid and stuff. You're working hard. Like, Jesus, man. A nap's allowed. That's fine. Yeah. That's fine. Nobody's going to hold a nap against you. But the topic inspired by Cameron's birthday, he came up with this idea, which is going to, frankly, probably be bad, but we're going to try. So games from our birth years. Now, I am really old. I was born in 1983. So there weren't a lot. Like, there's arcade games. There's some arcade games here. And it was the year that the Famicom, also known as the NES, came out in Japan. So I've got something from that as well. But for me, what stood out was a few arcade games, which was Joust, which is the one in which you jump around on ostriches with a sort of large spear, and it's multiplayer, and you kind of like have to try and knock the competitors off their ostriches. I love it. Rob's never even heard of Joust.
No, I've never heard of that
absolute
game.
Classic multiplayer.
I was envisioning some sort of medieval jousting game.
Yes, but on ostriches. Yes,
I was just say, I didn't see that happen on Game of Thrones. That's for sure. So Gregor Clegane on an ostrich. Just
great thing about ostriches is they really move and they can jump surprisingly high in Joust. Anyway, but yeah, also, I'm a massive driving game fan. You know that I'm huge into my racing games, and you might still have racing games, but I think Pole Position was an absolute sort of benchmark for moving racing games into the future and taking them towards that kind of 3D experience that we now have today. Obviously, if you actually look back at it, yeah. It looks like butt. But one game that doesn't look like butt because of the style of the game, which still holds up to this day, which is Dragon's Lair, which is the famously punishing. How do you describe this? It's almost like a choose-your-own-adventure game, isn't it? But
because the graphics hold up because it's a text adventure game.
No, it's not text.
No.
No, it's beautiful Disney animation style.
Okay.
So it's this gorgeous 2D stunning thing. But it's almost not a game. It's almost like a you know those games you had on DVD players.
It's QuickTime events. The game.
Well, it's not even QuickTime events. It's not even that. It's not like press A, B, C quick. It's like if you go left here, you die. If you go right here, you don't die. And it's a case of memorizing the inputs so you can get to the end of the movie, basically. It's like literally one of those DVD player games where it's like, you know, you could play it with a remote control. There's very little game in this game. However, it does hold up because it's lovely, gorgeous animation. And as long as there have been many ports of it since, and as long as you got, you know, the upscaled nicest representation of that animation, it looks stunning even to today. However, I just remember playing it and being like, this isn't fun because I just keep dying all the time and never getting anywhere.
There was, I remember the reading some of it. It used to be an arcade version, wasn't it? And like people would just lose money trying to complete this game.
Well, you do it because it's a story, and it's like it's a film, and you want to see what happens to the characters, and will he save the princess? And he's like, I can't remember the character's name. If somebody wants to look up the lead character in Dragon's Lair, but I remember him being a bit buffoonish and a bit like over the top, and he's this young upstart of a lad who's just, you know, full of pluck, but he's actually really ineffective, and you know, he's trying to fight a dragon and save the princess and all of this, and it doesn't go well most of the time.
You are referring, of course, to Sir
Go on.
Sorry. Dirk the Daring.
That's it. Dirk the Daring.
Of course it is. Oh, wow, fantastic. I mean, the game was animated by the director of The Secret of Nim.
Is it? Have you got the name? Is it Don Bluth? I want to say Bluth.
It is Don Bluth. Yeah,
yes.
well done.
Come on. Remembering my well, not obscure, but my retro video game knowledge. Come on, man. From the year I was born, and I remember that.
But the thing is, Don Bluth has done some great Disney game and animated films. I mean, one of my childhood ones was All Dogs Go to Heaven, done by Don Bluth. And he also did my partner's favorite animated film, which is Anastasia.
So look, randomly, right? Rob is a big Disney guy, so I could actually potentially see Rob trying this, weirdly, because it's basically a Disney movie. So
I'll buy it for you on GOG or somewhere like that. You can have a go at it.
yeah, it'd be like £2 or something, wouldn't it? 2-3 quid. It's not gonna be a lot.
I have cats, so I'm fine.
He has been catted. You can no longer see Wolverine. There is a clawed animal on him instead. And then finally, the Famicom came out in Japan, obviously with Mario Brothers, and yes,
what's your fifth game from '83?
I've only got 4. Well, I cheated because I had Famicom and the Mario Brothers, so that's 5. So yeah, that's what I'm going to go with because I talk about hardware as well, and obviously we wouldn't have Nintendo without the NES or the Famicom. We wouldn't have anything. Mario, Zelda, none of it. So that was hugely important. That's what basically resuscitated the games industry in the mid 80s, because obviously it had been destroyed by Atari and ET and stuff like that. So when I actually started growing up, and I was coming up in the 80s, it was at that point when there wasn't much of a games industry. So I wasn't necessarily straight away a gamer, because the Famicom definitely didn't show up in my house or anything Nintendo for quite some time. And it took a little while for Nintendo and then Sega to rebuild video games, because for a while there it looked like the fad had passed and it was done, because the financial crash that happened around it was absolutely massive, and it didn't look like anybody was ever going to come back from that. There's some great books about this if you're interested, in documentaries about what actually happened there, and it could have very easily gone the other way. It really could have done. We might have had a much more computer driven future to gaming, much less console driven, if Nintendo hadn't basically saved the day. So yeah, you can't really undersell the importance of the Nintendo Entertainment System. Yeah, Rob the Robot, the Mario Brothers, Zelda, and all of that. Yeah, no, that was the name of it. There was an accessory when you first bought the Nintendo Entertainment System. You had to buy it with Rob the Robot. I
am not a robot.
You had to have it. Well, that's on you, mate. Robo version of Rob would probably be cooler. I'm just saying.
I don't know, man. I mean, you sound like, you're stuck on repeat every time you talk about Destiny 2, Favorite game? Destiny 2.
What have you been playing? Destiny 2.
Destiny 2.
Oh, wow.
So that's my little recap of my birth year. Those are the games that stood out to me from the list we were looking at, and had some actual impact and ramifications. Obviously, the Famicom was the biggest thing, but who's next? It's you, Cam, yeah?
Sorry, mate, I'm too distracted by looking at Rob the Robot. Jesus. If that guy doesn't look like, what's that? Short Circuit. The little robot guy.
Johnny Five is alive. Yes.
Johnny, yeah, wow. Because that looks incredible.
It was terrible. It didn't do shit. It was...
I don't care.
It was super pointless. But and it basically, they pulled it out of the pack in after about 6 months, because it was just... It moved a bit. And was completely useless, but because it was that they were trying to do that thing where they were trying to bridge the gap, trying to convince people it was not just video games, it's a toy, it's something they were trying to appeal to the demos in different ways. So it was fascinating what they were attempting. Obviously, I don't remember a lot of that. I was 1, but at the same time, I've read about it a lot since and watched documentaries. It's a fascinating time in gaming. But even if the actual games coming out weren't as much in 83, that era of the mid to late 80s was what created the industry that we have today. So fascinating. Come on then, 91 for Cam.
Representing all by 1991ers. I'll start off with the big one to come against Mario. It was Sonic the Hedgehog. The little blue bastard who ran around at the speed of sound. He came out first in 1991 with Sonic the Hedgehog on the Sega... I don't know.
Original as a master system, isn't it?
I was going to say it's a master system.
Over here.
I get confused because they have different names in America, the Sega Genesis and stuff like that. So, now, one of my favorite games that I still play to this day, occasionally, every now and then, is Monkey Island 2. the sequel to this Monkey Island's games, and that is, I keep bringing it up because it is a huge one from my past with my family playing. The start of probably Ben's first biggest skiing. I think he's
skiing. No, not skiing. Cheering.
The first Sid Meier's Civilization game came out in 1991.
Yeah, I got into it heavily with the second one, but yeah, the first one, well, obviously, second one wouldn't exist without it. So, God, absolutely.
Which is the one which had Gandhi becoming a nuclear psychopath.
It's kind of been a problem for a lot of them.
I think that was Civs 3 with a fault in the code.
Yeah, you're supposed to put him down as like passive, but it turns his aggression to like 100, doesn't it?
Like aggressiveness at 0, but you could get something that minused his aggressiveness in the programming language they used. That set it. If you minus the 0, it went to the maximum possible value because you took away from nothing to get to the highest number. So he suddenly became the nuke happy man.
I love it. I love it. The only way for peace. The only way for peace is if there's no more people.
Mutual destruction for everyone.
Here's nihilism with experience skills.
Coming back to the Nintendos, you also had a Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past.
You had some good games in your year. Really good games.
I think the Link to the Past is one of the few games I've actually managed to have a little play on, because I wasn't a Nintendo family. I was a Sega and then a PlayStation family. So a friend of mine, like the one friend I had who had a Nintendo, had Link to the Past, and there's some good gaming memories with some very, very young friends at that time as well. I can't get around it because I had to put it in there, but Lemmings, which I think is still somewhat popular in some circles.
I played a bunch of Lemmings. Yeah, I remember Lemmings.
I played a lot of Lemmings. 3D Lemmings is difficult. If you haven't played 3D Lemmings, it was a bit weird.
I'm distracted because it looks like Rob's cat is trying to eat him now. What is going on?
This is what he does. He crawls around on top of me.
Nice. Now, this last one I think is actually quite important for a lot of future video games. I think I might have mentioned it to us before the podcast, but Street Fighter 2 came out in 1981.
Wow.
And now Street Fighter, there was a glitch in the game which basically allowed you to throw combination punches. And that time, there wasn't really a proper combo. There's like, there'd be like a 3-hit like punch, like on the Streets of Rage sort of thing, you know?
Yeah.
But there was a glitch that caused the characters to actually be able to proper hook, and then like kick, for example, without like breaking the attack stride, which basically gave birth to combos in video game fighting.
Yep.
So so everything that is like Tekken, people who are able to like destroy an entire health bar in like one giant combo attack sort of thing in competitive gaming wouldn't happen without Street Fighter 2.
Without Street Fighter 2, Rob wouldn't have his favourite fighting game of Soul Calibur. I mean, even though he's wrong in having that as his favourite fighting game, it still has to acknowledge that it wouldn't exist without Street Fighter 2. So that's pretty cool.
Soul Calibur. Favorite, so it's very interesting knowing where those like combos and stuff come from.
Yeah, I mean, the first Street Fighter is interesting because the first Street Fighter isn't really the same game at all. It's not really. It's much more like a brawler than a fighting game. And I think what we had with Street Fighter 2 was the creation of that genre really came from that. And then for me, I got into it massively on the SNES with Street Fighter 2 Turbo Edition, which is my favorite version of any Street Fighter ever. With this relatively limited character pool, but still, enough to master stuff. And I just loved. I remember playing it so much. I remember playing it so much on my SNES on that D-pad, which was not a forgiving D-pad, that I actually created I got a callus on my thumb, and then it started bleeding, and I actually caused myself physical harm pulling off the fireball punches and the dragon punch and all of that stuff, and Hadouken. Oh god, I can the sound bites I can remember them so perfectly. So in my head from the original two Turbo, and all what the announcer sounded like, and just the noises. I loved Ryu. Ryu was my main. And we'd always have tournaments. Friends would come over, and winner stays on your little 14-inch TV or whatever it was you had, and you just play SNES, playing Street Fighter 2 Turbo for hours and hours and hours. Oh, loved that game. Loved that game.
My go-to was always Ken, strangely enough. But I think it was because he kind of represents every dude in the UK and like USA who wants to be like a martial arts expert. You know, he's a total just like buff white dude. Fair enough, but he's just like, oh, gotta be the best man. You know, especially at a time when he be growing up and playing that.
So many great characters though.
Films and stuff, you know. So it was like
just so many great characters from that game. E Honda, Blanca, Dalsim. Dalsim was great, wasn't he? Vega, obviously M Bison. Oh, just such great characters, such great sprites, so well designed.
As terrible as the film was,
it's fun though. Jesus.
M Bison's actor,
incredible.
you know,
Raul Julia. Yeah, last film.
Wow.
Yeah, basically dying while making that movie. Like the guy is on the way out while making that film, and he still gives this scene-stealing performance. Absolutely insane, that movie. Everybody should see that movie.
And one thing I never really picked up on when I was I watched it recently, the last couple of months, just for the nostalgia. Didn't realize the Chun-Li actress was Melinda May in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
And, yeah.
Wow. Just wow, that film.
It's crazy. I watched it relatively recently as well and went, oh, that's from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And also, obviously, don't forget Kylie Minogue in one of her finest acting performances. So
the skepticism on Rob's face.
Oh, we're gonna have to do we might have to do, instead of topics, you know what we should do? We should watch video game movies. And to make that our thing, we should watch video game movies.
Live stream it and like react on Discord while we're talking on Discord and just chill.
That sounds alright. I could do that. Rob looks less impressed because he doesn't believe in old things. He's newest, latest, best personified. So tell us about your year, Rob.
Yeah, the child of the group.
So I was 92. So I had Echo the Dolphin, which is renowned for its punishingness, I believe.
So hard.
Yep. Super Mario Kart.
Quality.
Original Mario Kart. Mortal Kombat. Final Fantasy VII. And Star Wars The Empire Strikes Back. I only put on this list because it's a Star Wars game.
Is it Final Fantasy 7 or 5? Because you've written 5.
Oh, you said 5. My apologies. Did I say 7?
You did.
Very sorry.
That's okay. I forgive you.
It's because I wished for a finer time.
I would argue that the Final Fantasy games pre-7 are better than post-7 because I much prefer the pixel art over the shit, unbelievably ugly 3D art you get in 7 and 8 and 9.
I'm just imagining Rob as a baby in a stroller, walking, being strolled past Final Fantasy V and going, soon.
Peasants.
2 more games and it's good again.
I haven't played any of those games.
You're religiously nutty about number 10, aren't you?
I am religiously nutty about number 10, yes indeed. Praise be to Yevon. You'll only get that if you like Final Fantasy X.
So nobody's getting it then? Okay, cool.
You're right. No. I've heard of these, but I've never played it. Ben raised in the pre-show when we were discussing this, Super Mario Kart. How can you not have played it? Because they're all clones of each other. So no, they're not.
I mean, they are. But
okay, so every F1 game is a clone of every F1 game.
I mean, at its core, the mechanics and what you're doing is the same. You're going around a circuit, and in Mario Kart, you're going around a circuit and also hitting people with silly shit.
That's like playing FIFA.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. They are inherently the same. But what I was getting at was that the ones that you loved, Wii and Switch and stuff like that, and Double Dash and stuff, you wouldn't have had, obviously, without Mario Kart. Sorry, Double Dash? Don't like Double Dash. Don't like that one?
I've never heard of that one.
It's the GameCube one.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
So. I've never had a GameCube.
Oh, okay.
Just a little segue there. You got like the Mortal Kombat coming out into your year. Have you guys watched like the latest trailers and stuff for the upcoming Mortal Kombat film?
Looks like a lot of fun. Yes. Looks like a lot of fun.
It definitely looks a damn sight better than Mortal Kombat Annihilation, that's for sure.
That's the worst movie. I have a soft spot for that first Mortal Kombat movie, though. That is a lot of fun. I think it's really, really good in its own way. I love the bad effects on Goro, for example, but they actually look better than bad CGI stuff you see now because it's using stop motion animation and it kind of just sort of works. You just sort of accept it a bit better, I think. But it looks great. But Echo, I'm not so much a fan of from your list, but yeah, Super Mario Kart was the one I played. That was the one I played to death. because it came at the right age for me, and I had that on my SNES, and yeah, I just love that game. That game is the best Mario Kart, I think. It's just because it's like they in the desire to always move forward. Obviously, the visuals improve, but they also add quite a lot of like different attacks and elements to the game, and like you're making the drifting. So it was important in the SNES, but it's not like in the new one. Basically, if you don't use it, you're screwed. So it's like you have to constantly be doing that, and I think they overcomplicate the modern ones a bit, like the flying and stuff, and in a desire to keep it interesting. I know, so I understand that, but you go back to the SNES version, there is a purity to it. Like there's only maybe 6 or 8 power-ups, so it's easy to understand. It's easy to kind of like know what you've got and when to use it and how to use it, whereas there's so much crap going on all the time. It's just like vomit of visual effects on the screen in every moment of the new Mario Karts. It's the same reason I have issues with the Smash Brothers games. It's just like it's just like, kids play this, there need to be shiny things all the time, and it's just like
why you did not do as well as you proclaimed you would when you last played Mario Kart.
Yes, yeah, that's my excuse, and I am sticking to it. I'm an old man and I don't understand new things, so leave me alone. Don't pick on your elders now, come on. So like, yeah, and what else you got? I don't even know what that particular Star Wars game is.
Nor do I.
I couldn't even tell you. Star Wars: The Empire Strikes Back. It literally could be anything. Like they were kind of shoveling out stuff at that point. So I don't know.
It was a well, I mean, it's only like 12 years after the actual film came out. That one, I
love that he said only 12 years. Well, I came out in the year of Return of the Jedi. Is when when I was born. 83 is the year Return of the Jedi came out. So.
Well, I mean, it's like the Empire Strikes Back out. I know that one was actually like a platformer. At times there were a couple of levels where you ride the Tauntaun on Hoth and you shoot down the droids and stuff like that. But there was a 1982 Empire Strikes Back game, which was like Atari level graphics, where you take on like 8080s, which was, I didn't get to play that one, but I can only assume it was pretty terrible, compared to nowadays standards, at least anyway. So, I mean, I played Super Star Wars, and that was fun. This wasn't the Super version, though, but...
Yeah, Super Star Wars, Super Empire Strikes Back, and Super Return of the Jedi are all really... They're very hard, but they're very, very good sort of 2D action platformers, aren't they? They're really cool. The art style and the look of those games and the power-ups, they start digging into and getting like elements from the expanded universe to build on them and flesh them out. And yeah, they're really cool, actually. Especially Super Return. That is a quality game.
So the objective of The Empire Strikes Back is to destroy an Imperial probe droid, escape a Wumper-infested ice cavern, fight during the Battle of Hoth, meet Yoda on Dagobah, and attempt to rescue friendly characters in Cloud City from Darth Vader.
So the plot of the movie?
Yes, except you have to beat Darth Vader to win.
But the only way to win is to lose. I don't know. Okay, cool. Yeah. And obviously Mortal Kombat. It's Mortal Kombat, and I love Mortal Kombat.
It's punching and bloodiness.
Yeah. It's great, but
at least you can throw fireballs in that one.
You can in that. Yeah, Liu Kang definitely had some fireball stuff. And get over here with Scorpion. Love it. Yeah. Oh, great. And it had that style, that art style. That was so crazy. That kind of like rotoscoped, taking like real character images. That they'd shot. In film and stuff, and then put them into the game. And that's why the violence in that game obviously upset a lot of people, because it was that tiny bit closer to realism, and that was what kicked off a lot of that controversy at the time. I remember all that. And I've obviously looked into it a lot more since, and it's quite fascinating in a similar way to the 80s stuff with the industry nearly collapsing, that the kind of the fear around the violence in there. Let's blame that. Let's blame all society's ills on video games, because we don't really want to look too closely at the reality of the world we've created, and let's just blame video games instead. And rap music. That was the other one at the time. Blame the rappers and the games. That's why there was violence.
That's the thing, though. Like 1992's Mortal Kombat was a huge controversial thing. It helped make the like the rating system for video games.
That's why it existed. Yeah, that's why they created the
SRB. We have 18 rated games, is because it's too many Karens basically in the 80s.
Too many Karens. The world was
Too many
full of
Karens.
Karens. I think that is a very fair assessment of the 90s, yes.
Karens
PC
have
culture
thwarted
gone
gamers
crazy.
and censorship for the last
Well,
30 years
so
now.
it came out of the US, and the US were basically like, right, either you come up with an internal system for rating, or we have to do it. And when we do it, it'll be a lot worse. So
Yes.
control yourselves, or we'll control it for you. And that's where the ESRB came from. And obviously, in this country, we got things like, it took a while, but we had the PEGI system with Europe, and then we, nowadays you just basically see BBFC ratings, don't you, on particularly adult games. So the same stuff you see on film and stuff. But yeah, it's always a bit weird. I remember working at Game when there was the difference between BBFC and PEGI, because PEGI was advisory and BBFC was legal requirement. So if a 16 PEGI rating was on a game, you could sell it to anyone. It was just a suggestion. But then when BBFC came in, it was like, no, but that's the law, and you have to then check IDs. So that was really interesting, that. And then it sort of changed where all the ratings were taken as legal, regardless of where they came from. But yeah, fascinating.
I worked in Game when GTA 5 came out. And we did have one particular occasion where one of my colleagues was asked by someone who must have been about 12. He could barely see over the bloody counter. He just handed a copy of GTA 5, and he literally just put his elbows on the counter and was like, "Are you 18? No, you're not. No." Yeah, it was literally his result. I was just killing myself.
But it's always been the stupidest thing, because you'd literally tell the child no, and you would have experienced this. And then 5 minutes later, they come in with their mum and their dad, or mum or dad, and they'll just buy it for them. And you can't stop that.
We weren't actually allowed to sell. If they stated that the game was for their kid, we weren't allowed to sell the game to them.
That's something that changed, I think, between the times we worked in it. Because we had you when I did it, you had no recourse. Like, you couldn't say no to that if mum or dad was buying it. That was the law, and I think they must have tightened it up. But it was always. Yeah, it's always been a weird one. That it's strange.
It's weird for its time. Like the graphics you have behind the fatalities. They're not bad.
You look back and it's like, really?
Yeah.
Really?
When you compare, I remember reading this news story about 2 years ago, I think it was. Like the developers, some of them of like Mortal Kombat 11, were actually diagnosed with PTSD. Some of them, because they spent so long. Working with violent visuals and stuff like that. One worker didn't sleep for ages because he had violent dreams during his sleeps and stuff like that. So, that's probably a new story for another time. But
this came out around.
You compare it to a rotoscoped, heart rip sort of thing, and you just go.
Yeah, it's now that they've got to such a level where the developer and the art team, more than anything, staring at that imagery for 10 hours a day every day for 2 years, come out of it pretty broken, and sadly NetherRealm, I believe, were just like, shrug. So it was like, Warner Brothers, shock, Warner Brothers didn't care. What a shock. Our favourite publisher that don't give no shits. So I think that topic was alright. I quite enjoyed that, a little bit of retro, a little bit of a look back. And then, those games that we talked about, we pulled out there, they had impact, especially some of them. So that was a fun little topic. Good idea, Cam. Nicely done, mate.
Different. I have them occasionally.
You do. That was your one for the year. You've used it now, so I don't know what you're going to do for the rest of the year.
It's a new year for you, so sort of.
Very good. You get one more. Okay, so let's move on to what we've been playing for the end of the podcast, as we always do. Talk about what games we've been playing, what sort of stuff we've been checking out in the last week. Rob, you have nothing on your list. Is that because all you've done is Destiny?
No.
Haha! No, you have stuff, do you?
Yeah. I played Marvel Avengers, as well as yourself, Ben. You played Marvel Avengers. I finished the campaign, finally. It took how fucking long? But yeah, turns out I was really near the end. So I knocked that out in less than an evening, did the final boss fight the first time.
What do you think? What do you think of that? What do you think of all that?
Spoilers?
Are we all right with spoilers at this point? Yeah.
I was going to say, do we give a shit, considering there are 2,500 people that play Marvel's Avengers per day at its peak at the moment
dear.
In the world?
Jesus, no, don't worry about spoilers.
That hurts.
The Kree Sentinel, or like the Kree thing being there, that surprised me. Legitimately, that took me by surprise.
It was cool.
I was just anticipating a big MODOK fight where he would continually aim things at you. That's what I was anticipating. It was nice that you got to play as everyone. That was nice. Solidly sufficient. Wish the campaign had been twice as long, with twice as much complexity and detail, and not had a live service element, but here we are.
Sorry, the game will get a Snyder cut later.
Okay, good.
I mean, it's a Marvel property, so surely we want the Whedon cut. We
yeah.
want the Whedon cut, don't we? Maybe we don't. Not anymore. I think we don't anymore.
Well, by the sounds of the other news, maybe we don't want a gun cut either.
How about a Russo cut? Let's get the Russo boys back in. We'll get them to do it. We'll get the Russo cut. That's what we want. But I mean, so what did you think about the enhancements? Because that's why I checked it out, and I did the first story mission for the Kate Bishop campaign stuff they've put in for free. I might add that is for free. Anybody who owns the game gets the Kate Bishop and now Hawkeye stuff that's in there as well. And I thought I'd check that out. The main thing for me was the massive improvements in load times. Like, oh my god, like from 2 minutes to 20 seconds. Like, just insane.
I didn't have much memory of what it was like before. I also played it on my computer monitor that's wired into my Xbox, so I missed out on all the graphical upticks because I wanted to talk to my friends whilst I was playing, because Xbox is allergic to Discord apparently. It was fine. It was all right. I'm probably going to try and play a bit more. I want to play a bit of Kate Bishop stuff. I want to play the Hawkeye stuff as well.
So
I'm intrigued where they're going.
I did play it on my 4K HDR TV and stuff, and it didn't look like remarkably nice. So I played it in fidelity. There's two modes, like fidelity, like nice mode or performance mode, and I played it in nice mode, not too bothered about it being 60 because I knew I wasn't going to be playing multiplayer. And I was like, I'll just check this out and see how it feels and how it looked. It looked okay, but it didn't look like it was like a massive jump up from what we'd had on the One X's. It was fine.
It was a pretty game already. To be fair.
Was. The art style was always quite strong, though. Better character models than environment design. That's what I found. When I went, the first mission I had with Kate Bishop was one of those like open environments you get, and it's like there's other stuff to do, but then there's the mission bit you go to, and it just felt a bit. It was all snowy, but it didn't look great. It just sort of looked a bit bare and a bit empty, but it was fine, I guess. But yeah, for me, the load times was the main thing. The load times were remarkably faster, like in just night and day, like just into the game and then into the missions, like loading from the Quintjet and stuff was just completely different experience. And I think when you're dealing with a game like that, which is a GAS game as service game, which is going to lots of environments, you do see a lot of loading screens. So to have them reduced that much definitely made an improvement in the feel of the experience. I just don't know if I want to keep it installed and keep going. I mean, it's 100 gig now, and it's like, I could use that space on my internal drive for games I'm actually gonna play more. Like, I don't know.
I'm probably gonna play it because I want to see what they've done with like the Hawkeye stuff and Kate Bishop stuff. But I think what I may do is pretend it doesn't exist for about 9 months as we get more and more DLC. Because obviously we're getting the Black Panther DLC soon. Yeah. We're getting other DLC that will follow it. There has been so many rumors about the different characters we're going to see. Wait till that's finished, then come back.
Perhaps. Yeah, maybe I'll do the same. But yeah, it was all right. It was all right. So what else have I played? I played and I streamed on Thursday. New game out in early access, Dorfromantik. I couldn't tell you what that means or why it's called that, but it's basically a sort of like a village building game, like in a city building game vein. It's really pretty, but it's very low stress, and it also has this puzzle mechanic element where you're getting like a tiles like stacked up, almost like a card game. So you don't know what you're going to get, and then you have to like place it as effectively as possible in relation to the other tiles, like forest with forest and farm with farm, and buildings with buildings, and water and train tracks and stuff. And really, what it's about is just like making a really pretty looking town. It's not about, there's a score and there's like little goals and milestones you have to play just to give you an impetus, but like it just looks really cute and really nice, and like, oh, I'd go on holiday there. That would be lovely. Oh, yeah, that'd be really nice. And it's just like got nice music. It's very relaxing, very low impact. And yeah, I streamed that on Thursday, so there's a video up if you want to check that out. But I enjoyed my time with that quite a lot. Yeah. Before I sort of finish off my bit, what about you, Cam? I know you've got a few things on your list here, but a few that have shown up before. So what did you want to touch on?
Well, I've been playing a bit more of the Outriders demo just before the game got fully released, which I believe was today.
1st of April.
1st of April?
Yep. Comes out 1st of April.
I think it might have been available for pre-order then, maybe. That's why I was through then. But been playing some more of that. Me and a friend have just been kind of farming some legendary gear, so on the off chance that I have some money left over from my bills and child support and all that, I can actually afford a new game. And because all of the stuff that we do get from this demo, we do get to carry over to the full game, which would be good. I've also
you must be really enjoying it then. You put all this time into this little demo, which is quite limited, and I decided to wait because it's coming to Game Pass, so I'm just going to play it on Game Pass on 1st of April. But it's just something that me and my friends have been playing just to kind of pass the time because we're kind of running out of other options. But we've also been playing. I bought the Game of the Year edition of Borderlands 1 because I can't wait for the next bit of DLC from Borderlands 3 to come out. So I thought, might as well get something to kind of pass the time. So you didn't have it already?
I didn't have that because I never actually had any of the DLCs of the original Borderlands game, and apparently I was missing out on some really good content.
I'm trying to remember what the DLC was for the original Borderlands.
It had the Claptrap, Robot Revolution, the Zombie Island of Dr. Ned, and you had that one. Secret Army of General Knox.
Right, yeah. They were good. I do remember them being good.
When it first came out, it was on PS3, and it was during a time when I don't know how to put it. It's like I was a bit dubious of buying things like online, like DLC at that time. I was only like 15 or 16 or something like that at the time, maybe 17.
I'm so old.
Yeah, I know. And so it's just that time where I was just like, I'm not sure I want to put my new debit card information onto a console just yet.
You sound like my mum. You sound like my mum, Cameron. You sound like my mum.
This was 15 years ago, okay?
They're gonna steal my identity. Who wants to be you, Cam? Nobody wants to be you.
Apparently you. It gives you at least 8 years younger.
Yeah, true that.
So with that, I never bought any of the DLC, and I didn't buy DLC for a lot of games in my early days, and then until I kind of realised, fuck it, it's more content to play.
Yep.
Same as the Binding of Isaac, there is like a new final bit of DLC coming out with new stuff. A lot of it comes from the modded community, actually. So they've reworked on it and kind of rebalanced it to bring a lot of the new stuff, new enemies, and everything into the full game.
Oh, I'll have to look that up because I quite like Binding of Isaac. It's really good fun.
Yeah, it's called Repentance, the new DLC that's due to come out.
Ooh.
Now, this one you might resonate with, Ben. I actually got to play Squadrons for the first time.
Oh, you hadn't?
No.
Oh, how come?
I didn't buy it. Long story short, I didn't buy it. So, with the Game Pass, and we have like access to a lot of EA games.
That's why. Right. Cool.
Yes,
awesome.
So I got to have a go on Squadrons, and yeah, that is a lot of fun. Kind of regret not getting it a bit earlier.
I enjoyed it, but it didn't. I mean, I got it. Rob got it. A few of our friends got it, but it didn't hold us, did it, Rob?
I still need to finish the campaign.
I've done one mission. Did the first mission, did the tutorial so that I could play multiplayer, and that's all I played.
Brilliant, love it.
Didn't care about the campaign. Didn't care.
No, I mean, I gave it a good couple of hours for a couple of days, playing a bit of both, and the thing is, I kind of have to agree with you, Ben. It's because there's not a lot of like diversity. Kind of like when with Battlefront 2, you've got like ground troops and you've got space battles as well, sort of thing. You can mix it up, but like when it's just space battles, it's a bit.
For me, there wasn't enough game modes in multiplayer. There's 2 modes basically, and it was like the main one, which was that capital ship sort of thrusting one. It's a cool idea, but it was limited maps, especially at launch. There was limited things to do, and that might have improved. It might be worth going back to, Rob, I think, maybe, and have a look, see where things are at now. But yeah, I mean, I've not even played with the B-Wing. I've not played with the Defender. They were both patched in after the fact, completely for free, which is awesome.
The B-Wing you will quite like because it's a capital ship destroyer.
Ooh, nice.
It's a full-blown bomber. Nice.
Not even bomber. It's powerful lasers.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Haven't quite done the all 4 points meet up and then it's one big beam. I wish they had. But yeah, it's really good.
That'd have been so cool. Why didn't they do that? Oh my god, that'd have been so cool. But all right, fair enough. I'll be sad now. But
we've just been having a lot of fun, just playing what I can, kind of like between customers, basically, when I'm sat at this computer. So, I want
a job like that, Rob. I want a job like that.
after the weeks we've had,
It's been
I
so
want to
hectic.
that.
Which otherwise, I've not got a customer right now. I'm going to play some Squadrons. You are.
The thing is that I mean, because the customers come sometimes few and far between. Sometimes like there's a long person who talks a lot.
You just ignore him. I love it.
No,
Just mute yourself.
No, that's
Oh,
the thing.
play some
I
Squadrons.
don't ignore them at all. It's more of like I need games that I'm able to pause. So it's not as if I can just tune into online games. Because if I was playing Squadrons online and got a customer, I'd just be floating off to another galaxy at full speed while I deal with this idiot over here.
It's an idiot.
Hey, 70% of my customers are idiots. Okay, just deal with it.
It's cool.
It's
Don't
there,
look
it's
at,
out
don't look up too closely, Cameron, because he doesn't need you knowing where he works.
No.
Oh. Right, should I touch on the one little last thing from me then? And you've not got anything
Go on.
else, Rob? No.
I played a smattering of Destiny and a smattering of Total War because that's what I do.
I've also
yeah.
done those two things as well this week, but I was going to touch on something other. I've also played some Destiny, the weekly stuff, and I've also now started playing Total War 2, and I need to play Total War Warhammer 2, I should say, and I need to play some more because I'm still very early and I need to try and get to grips with all the mechanics, which they don't really explain. So
The only Total War game I've really had any kind of impact on was probably Rome Total War.
did you hear? There he
Total
goes.
War, right?
That was the news this week. They're remastering it. Yes.
I didn't do well at it. Let's
I'll
be
be up for
honest.
that.
I didn't do well at it. That's one thing I have actually. I have been playing a little bit of actually. Is the remastered Command and Conquer that's available on
Great.
Game
I
Pass.
was talking about that last week. It's super
That
good.
was so much nostalgia
Oh,
on
so
that game.
good. So good. Anyway, I'll just quickly touch on the other thing. I've new PC out with the old keyboard and mouse. Decent enough Microsoft set, but a bit mushy, not for the gamer. And I'm like, you know what? They're on sale, about 40% off on Amazon. I'm gonna check out Razer stuff. Richard has mentioned them past. Rob is always talking about. Another friend of ours is always mentioning them. I thought it was kind of like, oh, it's just branded crap. It's just like, we'll put 50% on the price tag because we've got a stupid name. Actually, no, these are very good devices. So I picked up the Razer Synosa Lite gaming keyboard and the Razer Basilisk X Hyperspeed wireless gaming mouse.
Try saying that.
Yes,
Had a few.
not easy to say, that one. They're the two I've picked up, and I've seen the light. This shit is good. I now understand why people go on about the Razer accessories and peripherals and stuff. The keyboard is clacky and responsive and feels great, chunky, and it's got some RGB lighting, which I couldn't give any less shits about. I really don't care about lighting on my keyboard, but it does that nicely, I guess. But for me, it's how it feels when using it, and it's lovely. And the mouse is the main thing for me, and the responsiveness on the buttons, so clicky, so satisfying. The scroll wheel is just the right resistance, just the right clickiness to it. Feels incredible. So it's ergonomically designed, fits in the hand perfectly, nice and large. It's got that little thumb rest bit, which just adds to it. It feels nicely textured. Multiple. What is Cam doing? I don't even know. I'll show the mouse. I can pick up the mouse.
Things about a mouse. I'm just like, this one just works.
So this is the mouse I've got. So yeah, it's just show off our mice. Yeah, there you go. It's really exciting
Mine lights
podcasting.
up, so therefore
mine one's got poo on it.
Mine doesn't light up because I don't see the point because my hand's on it. But there you go. I could have got a light up one, but I chose not to because I don't understand why. And then, multiple DPI settings as well, which is lovely to be able to flick through them really quickly and just have that different responsiveness on the mouse, depending on the game you're playing or if you're just doing stuff on your desktop. Beautiful. I highly recommend the Razer shit based on this experience so far. I paid for these completely, by the way, and this were not given to me for free. Just so you know, it's not sponsored content, though I wouldn't say no. So, Razer, if you want to send me some more stuff, please do. Yeah, please do.
A couple of things. Yes, please.
This mouse, the thing is though, for me, like this Bluetooth mouse and keyboard I bought it was £20. That's all I wanted to spend on it, and it works. But it has a DPI button. The first time I've ever really come across a DPI like kind of settings on a mouse. Damn the difference.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I was playing like FPS games, and I'm just sat there. I didn't realize what it bloody was. And I was going there just like, Jesus Christ, the sensitivity's too high on this. And then I pressed the button, and I was like, I'm barely moving now. Damn it! What the? I just didn't understand it, and I had to look it up, and I was like, oh my god, that is so useful. Oh, I am an idiot for not knowing about this any time before this.
Yeah, it's good. It's good stuff. I think I'm going to be looking at more Razer stuff. I feel like this is. I've just bought the PC, right, and I'm already looking at upgrading stuff. Like, not because I need to, just because I can. You know, it's just like, ooh, I could get some more RAM. I don't need to, but I got space for it on my motherboard. So why don't I just buy some more?
You do not need more than 32 gigs of RAM,
But
Ben.
I could, but Rob, I could have 64. I'm just saying.
You do not need that.
But I could have 64, Rob.
I don't think you even need more than 16, do you?
You do.
I mean, you don't need it. Like, it runs things better, but you don't need it. Like, so it's kind of like
a lot of different things. Obviously, Ben does a lot of video editing for our channel. You know, that will help going from 16 to 32 because it means he can use the damn PC in the meantime. But you do not need 64. There is no possible reason for you to need 64 gigs of RAM, barring because I wanna.
But I wanna. I've got the DIMMs free on the motherboard. I want to put things in them. This is what I want to do. I could put in more. I could put in some more solid state storage. I was looking at as well. I could have a couple more.
This is like you buying Control all over again.
Yeah,
like, I don't need it, but I will
because I can.
Get the tap in there for the
Razer.
I was literally looking at Razer mouse mats this morning. I've got a really nice mouse mat. Why would I need one? I don't need one, but I'm just gonna.
You know they did Destiny branded Razer stuff, right?
No.
It was
no.
I'll be looking on Amazon shortly.
I've only seen this room in his house. Next door is his Destiny room. It's got all the merch and.
You've seen half of this room. You haven't seen what's over there.
Oh dear.
I have 2 ghosts because I have the special edition one that's Dinklebot.
Oh, I thought you were going to say you have extra lives.
No, I wish. I barely have a life now. I have an engram. I have 2 ghosts over there. I have Zer, the little pop vinyl Zer, in front of my TV. And I have the pop vinyl Atheon in front of my TV. On my desk, I have Oryx.
I love. Thing is, I love ghosts. I think they're so well designed. I really like just as an item, you know, as a piece of game design. The way ghosts look, I think, are very, very cool. Like, and they add to that universe so much. They've got so much character in them, haven't they? I hate bobbleheads, but that's fine.
It's not a bobblehead. It's Ikora. It's a pop.
I have like
pops.
60 to 80 like hardback like comic collections.
Is it? I don't think I think we should stop. We don't. What do I own? Well, I have these things.
This is my address. Come and rob me.
Right. I think that brings us. This brings us to the end. I think of the podcast. So, a really nice little show we've done there, guys. I hope you've all enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed listening and watching and watching us live. Some people possibly, probably not. I don't know. It's the first time we've ever done it. But no, it's nice to know we can do it. Hopefully, the tech is all held up, and I will be looking at all of that for future content, which is exciting. But basically, this is the end of episode 23 of Experience Kills. I've been your host, Ben. You can find me on Twitter at DIYE. You can find Mr. Rob here beneath me at Homeless Mr. Gibbs on Twitter, and next to me here is Cameron, who you can find at Camelot on Twitter. Collectively, we can be found as the all-encompassing at Experience Kills on Twitter. We have a website, which is experiencekills.co.uk. I haven't mentioned that recently, so I thought I'd throw that in there. And just so you know, we are obviously on YouTube. Please give us a like and subscribe and hit that notification bell while you're there. But all of our content, excitedly, is also available anywhere a good podcast can be found. So RSS feeders, iTunes, Amazon Music, Google Play Store, we are there. You can even make your smart device play our your podcast by just saying it out loud. It's kind of insane voodoo black magic, and I love that. And honestly, my guarantee is if you find a provider we are not available on, let me know and I will make that happen for you. I promise, just let me know. But until next time, we've got Richard back for a Game Class Club, which I don't think we've even decided on the game yet, but I think we narrowed it down to a few. I'm moving towards Spiritfarer. I think that would be a good one for it. Relatively new, you know, a game that isn't about to come out of the club, Rob. And therefore we might actually have something to talk about. Which would be nice.
So did we know it was going to come out of the club? No, we didn't. So, it wasn't announced at that point.
I think
There wasn't. It wasn't. Well, we would have covered it because we do news.
I just want to say, I've only really just noticed, but homeless Mr. Gibbs' beard has finally become a homeless man's beard.
It looks good. It's the kind of the Marcus Phoenix beard. I think it's a good beard. It's a good better than mine. I might be shaving mine off this week. I haven't decided yet because we're finally coming out of the lockdown here in this part of the world, and to mark that, I am thinking of
to be more specific. Our stay-at-home order will be ending in the next few days.
Well, for me, that's lockdown.
We're out of lockdown.
To me, in my mind, I'm out of lockdown, baby. I'm going to be living life to the max.
This is where a dangerous mentality starts to take hold, but
that's me, man. I'm old now. It's time for me to pass on. Why? I haven't got to worry about sex.
I'm old now.
You're old now. We're all. Everybody except Rob is going to be old now. Rob's still got his life in front of him.
I'm pretty sure next podcast I'm on, which is 2 weeks from now, the hair's going to be grey and mostly gone. I think I'll be in an alcoholic stupor for the next week while I'm on holiday.
2 weeks from now, I will also be a year older.
Woo!
Everybody's birthdays this time of year. Okay, it's great. Anyway, this is the outro of the show, so I think we should probably make this show finish, and therefore we will be back very soon with another podcast next week with more news, games, and stuff we've been doing. So see you all soon.
Bye.
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 Toodaloo.